Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to chat with you guys a little bit about training the movements that we are worst at in order to bring up weak links and to understand how this works. And I can use myself as an example, but you guys can extrapolate this out to yourselves. And when I say the movements that we're weakest at, oftentimes I'm talking about different variations and things, because I'm going to assume that all of you out there, if you really care about strength and maximum development and all these things, because they go hand in hand, that you're obviously training the big movement patterns anyways, right? You're all doing various pressing, pulling, squatting, things like that. You're doing these things already. And you're putting serious efforts into them. So the example that I'm going to give here of two of my biggest weaknesses are not about, oh, squatting is the weakness, right? Because training more squatting beyond what's appropriate for any given level of advancement or on a program isn't going to be better. Okay, because you're only going to be able to handle so much training volume anyways. So even if we're trying to improve at those things, we're usually working on weak points and things, right? In other words, most of the programming that I do is based on conjugate, and we don't train the amount of work we do in a week on the squat, bench, or deadlift, right? We don't change the amount of work we do on the basic lifts and the variations of them per se. We change the supplemental work, or we change what versions of those that we do based upon weaknesses. So in my case, let's talk about where I'm weakest. On squatting, because my deadlift is my best lift. We look at any of the advancement charts, I have an elite deadlift. I'm close to an elite squat by actual competition standards, not strength and conditioning charts. I'm way elite on those. And my benching is not elite in either one. Benching is a weak link. So that's not what we're talking about entirely. We're talking about the variations. Where am I weakest on the squat? My upper back. Coincidentally, what type of squat am I the far weakest on out of the variations that I have? Anything involving a safety squat bar. It's also worth noting that I hate the safety squat bar. It hurts. It's painful. I don't like it. I don't like any aspect of it here. So this footage is just from kind of the week where I started doing this stuff again, because I admit that and know I need to work on it. And by the time this video comes out, who knows where I'll be in my training. I think people forget that. I make these videos. Sometimes I have over 100 videos sitting on my computer ready to upload. So by the time it gets to you guys, I might be addressing something I was doing in my training or a weakness or something else, and I've moved on to the next stage in my training by the time you guys get it. But it doesn't mean the tools aren't useful. But in this case, you guys see me doing stuff with the safety bar. All right? Because I know my upper back is actually a weak link on my max effort squats. It's not my only weak link, but it's a very glaring one. And I'm very, very crappy at doing safety bar squats compared to my other barbells. Because at the time this is done, I had never even hit a 500 on a safety bar. That's a goal for me, is to get to a 500 on a safety bar. But I've got a 535 on a box squat with a cambered bar. The Buffalo bar, I have a 552 on a box squat. Safety bar brings out my weak links. So we look at this and say, okay, well, you're going to do more safety bar speed work. Okay, fine, Jason. Well, how does that bring up your weaknesses? Well, it partially brings them up, but that also means what hurts when I do the safety squat bar. Like what really bothers me? Well, my upper back, obviously, which we'll see me doing, again, some safety bar good mornings. They're harder for me. When I do good mornings with a safety bar, I'm going to be weaker than my other bars, and that's normal. That's normal. But it is a noticeable weakness. So how about if I do more good mornings with the safety bar to work on that part of my upper back, my thoracic erectors, that's limiting me on this lift? Also, I don't feel my quads on any other type of squat unless I use a safety bar. They almost hurt at the end of doing safety bar squats. Like I feel them work really, really hard. So, okay, so let's do a little bit of extra quad work to get good with the safety bar. May not help my other stuff, so in my case, I do some barbell step-ups. I'm already doing sled drags, but I started incorporating the barbell step-ups just to make sure that we bring everything up, because here's the thing. When we're doing different max effort lifts, we need to look at what our weaknesses are on all of our variations and then do those. You guys will also see me in the background there doing really wide grip floor presses. We'll come to my other biggest weakness out of all of my movement patterns, wide grip benching. I'm stronger on a close grip. You guys have seen me close grip bench press 352 this year. 352 on a close grip. I'm actually weaker at wide grip pressing. The most I have wide gripped pause benched, I believe, is 335 for you guys on camera. Anytime in the last year. All right? Look at the disparity between my close grip and my wide grip. Now, we should be stronger at wide grip. And when I say close grip, I'm talking pointer finger on the smooths. I'm talking barely being on the knurling. Like, I'm right there. Close grip. But we start talking my hands on the rings, any of my fingers on the rings, I'm weak at it. Now, we know that all my benching, my triceps are a limiting factor. I need more triceps, so I'm working triceps hard. But then we look at something like this floor press and realize, okay, this lets me train the wide grip. I'm weak at wide grip benching in general. Problem is that wide grip benching for any volume hurts your shoulders, so how do we correct that? We could do floor press. Okay, the floor press is easier on the shoulders in general than benching is. Mainly because we cut out, even for me, that last half inch of the range of motion. We don't put the shoulders into a compromised position. It doesn't chew your shoulders up the way repping out a wide grip bench does. So we can do this, and we can do volume at almost illegal wide. Right? My pointer fingers are on the rings. Any wider and it wouldn't be meat legal, would it? Okay, we can do that with this really wide grip on the floor press and then work and work and work it. Now, people say, well, you're doing like a bunch of high rep sets. Yes, I am. Why? Because training volume builds muscle mass. If we're weak at something, doesn't mean we need to do a bunch of heavy fives with it. We need to build the muscles up associated with that weakness. So when I say that we need to train the things we're weakest at, what do we mean by train the things we're weakest at? Okay, if we say that we're really weak at wide grip benching, that doesn't mean that we just need to do a bunch of heavy wide grip benching. It means that we have weak muscles. We have weak joint angles, which again is associated with muscles, with that movement. Well, we can use other supplemental lifts to train the muscles of that movement. And the wide grip floor press is an example of saying, okay, what's something I can do that's not going to beat me up, that's going to really develop those muscles? Well, the wide grip floor press will do it. And the same thing, I've been doing flies and stuff also because I know my chest through that stretch needs it. It needs the work. And I'm probably going to start working in decline flies. Why? Because when we arch on a bench, we're going to be more at a decline angle. If I'm really weak at wide grip benching and my pecs have problems with that wide grip out of the bottom, then I need to be training my pecs at an angle similar to an arched bench probably. You need to make sure that part of the pectoral is really fully developed. So that's what we do. Okay, we come in and we work both of those movements. Doesn't mean that we need to come in and try to do a 5 rep maxes or something with a wide grip bench. We just need to work the muscles and movement patterns associated with that weak movement. Same thing with the safety bar squat. Well, we already know, for me, the weak link is really the upper back with it. Okay, it's the upper back. And then if I have my torso that upright, my quads actually do get it harder. With all my other bars, I don't feel quads. In fact, like with the cambered bar, my hamstrings work super hard when I max on it, to the point where they're cramping almost. So, of course, we train the hamstrings. But, you know, we look at that other bar and say, okay, how do we get better at this bar? Make sure we do a little extra quad work, but we need a lot of extra upper back work. Well, how do we get that? We can do our speed squats with it. And then come in and do good mornings with that bar, because it hits that part of the back even harder than the squats do. Right? We do supplemental lifts to build up our weak lifts. Okay, we don't necessarily just build a weak lift just by doing the lift. I mean, that's one way to approach it. But if you understand the muscles involved as to why you have that strength imbalance, because both of these represent an imbalance. Being really weak with the safety bar squat brings out the visible weak link that we see when I max on a squat. Okay, you should be able to do that with any of your lifts. What's your weak link? Well, you need to work that. But then when we do these variations that hit them harder, we really see them coming out. Okay, we really see them coming out. Now, we know that I need more triceps on my bench, but realistically, my chest is really weak on a wide grip bench. It's not a limit on my closed grip. What I need to do, I need to work more chest. We can do it through the combination of wide grip pressing, but picking versions that will work the muscles better, that don't risk injuring us, along with doing smaller movements that really hit that area. So just like I'm doing the good mornings with the safety bar to help with that part of the back for the squat, we could come in and do a chest exercise that hits the part of the pec that is going to be limited the most by the wider grip press. This is what I mean by training the movements we're weakest at. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.